All right, everybody, welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. We're getting set here and getting in the studio. So we appreciate you guys for logging on, and we'll be back on in just a moment. All right, now we're back here. We've moved into our official studio, and we welcome everybody here that has decided to jump in here on the broadcast here. We thank God for those of you who are watching us on all of the platforms, on Facebook Live, on Periscope, also on we're also today on YouTube Live as well. So we thank God for all those of you who have decided to join us here this afternoon. We're going to be talking about all of the things that you guys have been talking about this week and throughout this weekend. For those of you who follow me personally on social media, you know that the minister braved the COVID. And I actually went down to Atlanta. I had wanted to go down to the city and get a sensibility of kind of what the damage had looked like around Metro Atlanta. So the minister was there live and in person. I was masked up. I was gloved up, everything I could possibly be up to try to protect myself from the coronavirus. But very, very peaceful. It was just a great to see, and just to see the reactions of so many of the people that were there. And we thank God for all of those protesters that came and were able to peacefully have things going on. Well, we're going to start to bring in some of our guests here for the evening. One young lady, you know her very well from the show. She has been a frequent contributor. She has a great page on Facebook called The Ultimate Dog Nation. I believe Miss Iris Fambro Carter is in the building. Are you there, sister?
Yes. Yes, I am. Hi, Jonathan.
There she is.
Guys.
All right. Praise the Lord.
I'm here.
Listen, it's great to see you. Great to have you join us again here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Also joining us today is we have a couple of folks from HBCU Heroes. We're going to bring them on in just a few minutes. But one lady we're going to bring on because her schedule is very, very hectic. And we have been trying to get her on the show for the last month or so. She is a living legend. The very first African-American bondwoman has joined us today in the building. Miss Trina Parks, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
There she is.
Can you hear me?
She is here. She is with us. Listen, now we are certain. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you see me?
I can see you and can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Looks like everybody is here. We're also going to bring on two people who have been doing really before. I don't want to say before Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter has always been on the groundswell, but before everything kind of hit the fan, these two folks have been kind of working behind the scenes, doing some great stuff in our HBCUs. And I think that going forward, that the HBCU story is going to be critical in terms of trying to heal the nation, try to get some things going. So we'll bring them on. Tracy Pennywell and George Lynch are now with us in the building. Hi, guys.
Hey, how everybody doing?
How you guys doing? Fine,
Fantastic. Look, great to have all you guys with us tonight. And again, as we always do, repeatedly give a big shout out to those people watching us on the archive and a rebroadcast on Periscope, which is Twitter TV. Thank God for those of you who are sharing the broadcast right now. And we certainly, again, we want to say thank you. Well, guys, I wanted to make sure that you got to look at this lady here who is very rare that we get an opportunity to have someone who's a living legend. We could say that about George, but he's still a little young yet. So we'll talk about him doing it maybe 10 years from now. But Trina Parks, the very first African-American bondwoman you saw in the montage there when we opened up the show on Ladies Night. You saw her there posing in her great elegance with Sir, I want to call him James Bond, but Sir Sean Connery there. And so we want to get to Trina, just ask her, what was that like when you got that invitation to be the very first Black bondwoman?
It was wonderful, but I had just come from doing on Broadway in New York, and I really had never seen a James Bond movie. So
Wow.
I didn't really know who James Bond was. When they told me I was going to do this film, I said, "Oh, wonderful." But I didn't tell my agent. I didn't know who James Bond was. But I loved the part. I loved the role. And I had worked with other, stars on stage, on Broadway and in dance world. So it was fun. It was really. But I was so honored after doing the film itself, and also afterwards after I found out that I was the first James Bond woman villain.
And you were actually a villain in that. A lot of people, we always think about the Bond girls being, good guys, but you actually played the villain. Well, people would say, well, how's this tie into sports? Now, if I can understand correctly, one of the reasons that you were able to get the role is not only were a skilled dancer, but you were skilled in karate. Tell us a little about that.
Yes, back some years before that, I was in Catherine Dunham's company. If anyone knows of Miss Catherine Dunham, the first Black African American choreographer in New York, and I was in her last company, and she taught the Haitian karate. So along with her, special technique, which is a Haitian base. And so I knew that karate, and my agent didn't know I knew karate, but he knew I danced. So I said, yes, I know karate, Haitian karate. The Lagya is called. So, you put that because I also taught aerobics. So, I kind of put the karate and my aerobics training and my whole dance training. That's what they wanted in the part. So yeah, that's what I used.
Well, that's incredible, guys. How cool is it to hear this lady talk about Harlem and all of these. I mean, you talk about the Alvin Ailey dancers, and really this woman here. Now we talk about, obviously, and again, we want to give kudos to stuff that's going on with Black Lives Matters, the things that they brought to the forefront. And certainly all the young people, the energy that we're seeing on our college campuses and our high schools is just incredible. But Trina, you were kind of part of the original. You were in the time when the civil rights movement was in its origin. And so what was it like to be in Harlem, which at that time was really the Black Mecca for entertainment, and of course even basketball with the Rucker tournament there as well?
Yes. Well, I was sort of like a pre-teen, but I was around time also when I was in Brooklyn too, when the Black Panthers started the organization, and I knew about it. I couldn't be a part, but I knew that there was something that was good about this organization, even though they had slammed it through the news and all, but they had started Black schools for the Black African American children to learn about their history, and food drives, and for people that were underprivileged for food. I mean, they were doing some really great things. Yes, they had guns, and the big thing is when they were invaded by the police, and of course the police said that they shot first, but they didn't. But that whole time of the late 50s and 60s, and it was just wonderful, because I remember being around when they had I was at the March on Washington, and also when they had the sit-in at the not Walgreens, I get the name. What's the where they had the sit-ins at that time? Well, the Woolworths. I was thinking Walgreens. Sit-ins and I was around. And again, I couldn't be a part of it too much because I was a little bit too young. But I was very much aware of what they were doing. And
well, that must have been great stuff. I like to say, you guys just see that up close and personal. Again, all these civil rights leaders, and the Rucker tournament where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these guys were in their prime, and they were really playing that tournament. So it was just, I mean, it must have been phenomenal. Well, let me cut here.
I'm hearing some scratching. Are you hearing?
I'm trying to see whose microphone it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to kind of do this kind of technical thing. I'm gonna kind of take people off the show and try to see if I can determine whose mic it may be. So bear with me if I take you off camera. It's okay. We're not gonna lose you, but we just want to kind of see what is where the problem is coming from. Miss Tina, I'm gonna take you off first. Again, you might have to log back on again, but no problem. Let's see if we can grab her off. And no, I still hear a little bit of crackle pop here. All right, we'll add her back on, and we'll take Miss Iris off for a second. And uh-oh, Miss Iris, you might be the culprit. Because we're taking you off the screen, we don't hear no pop. So whatever you're doing in your headset, but something you got going on there is giving us a little bit extra snap, crackle, and pop.
Yeah.
Give me real quick, Miss Trina, could you just say hello one more time for us into your mic?
Hello. Yes, I'm on my camera, on my phone.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy, could you give us a quick shout out?
Hello. How are you guys?
And George, how about you? I know you got your mic muted, but can you come back at us there, kind sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, how y'all doing? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Well, looks like we got a little crackle. Let's bring Miss Iris back, and hopefully we got everything under control here. Miss Iris, you're back on with us.
Yeah.
I think you might be.
Hey guys.
I'm not sure what's quite happening with your mic. I'm not sure if maybe there's a. Are you not watching the show on a tablet or anything? You just on your phone? Is that correct, Iris? Yeah, I guess Iris doesn't hear us. Okay, well, we'll bring her back. Let's go here and just cutting out to the guys from HBCU Heroes, Tracy and George. Tracy, just tell us a little bit kind of how you got involved in the organization and kind of was the genesis of this whole thing with having HBCU Heroes.
First, I want to say hi, Trina. It's so nice to meet you, and you're such a legend. And I just wanted to say hello, and I'm glad to be on the show with you. I actually grew up in Greensboro, and the Woolworths was a big thing about where the sit-ins took place when they first started A&T in Greensboro. Yeah, so that was one of those little trivia questions, and I'm like, hey, I know that one. Thank you guys for having us on, and it's nice to meet you, Trina. For George and I, George and I went to Carolina, UNC. We've been business partners, best friends, all of that for years, and worked on so many projects together. But I basically started working with George on HBCU Heroes, our nonprofit, because he was coaching at CAU, Clark Atlanta, and there were a lot of needs that needed to be met for some of the student athletes. Just the kind of same old where you see sometimes where the budgets are cut and the athletics departments are underfunded, and nothing different than what's going on at other HBCUs. But because George and I had already been working on so many things, and he just was like, you know what, I want to give my guys the best experience. So we started raising money for Clark just because we needed to help George's team out. And then it just turned into, people were like, you guys should bring those programs here. You should bring that fundraising component here. So it turned into a nationwide initiative for us to do some of the things that we're doing. So that's kind of how I got involved, because of George.
Let's get George and get a little feedback from you, George. A lot of people don't know that you had a great career at North Carolina. Also, I believe played with the Lakers and maybe some other NBA teams. So, kind of what got you energized about getting involved with this?
Well, Tracy touched on it a little bit. Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everybody. And I'm a big James Bond. I have the whole collection of DVDs and Blu-ray discs and everything. So I'm gonna go back and watch your show. But so we kind of got involved with HBC Heroes because, like Tracy said, there's a big discrepancy between the PWIs and the historically black colleges, and a lot of it has to do with the conferences that they play in. So there's no TV dollars, there's no conference money because they're playing in a small conference, and what was happening was, my assistant coach and myself, Melvin Scott, both played at North Carolina, and the experiences that we were provided at North Carolina. You know, if we went to New York, we went to a Broadway show. If we traveled from, you know, North Carolina to Virginia, we were on a chartered jet. So the whole experience was totally different. And, you know, we were taking 8-9 hour bus rides. The kids had to get back and be in class, or we would get there right before, you know, the game, you know, 3 hours before a game to play a game. And it's very hard for kids to compete at a high level when they just get off the bus.
Oh,
No chartered jets, George. No chartered jets.
No,
At the level.
not at all, not at all. So the goal was to, you know, make sure the guys, you know, our student athletes had books, make sure that they, you know, we try to let them make sure they stayed in a nice hotel where they provided breakfast. Just things that, you know, when you go to a PWI or you go to a big college university, you take for granted. And we just wanted to make sure that these guys, like I told them every day, we got to pay it forward. That's how we become a stronger program, a stronger athletic department. If, you know, I'm going to make your experience as good, as best as I can under the rules, but it's up to you guys to come and give back to the program. And that's what we were trying to instill our 2 years there. And that's how HBCU started, HBCU Heroes. We wanted to make sure that the athletic department at Clark, the athletic department within the SWAC conferences, you know, had a level playing field.
Well, I think that's to be admired. You know, one of the things that I think that going forward in this whole situation is we're going to have to find a way to, it can't be just, I mean, the social justice context and the context and the things that are going on is certainly very important. You're talking about loss of life, you're talking about loss of freedom. That is just paramount. But also, there has to be a rebuilding, for lack of a better term, rebuilding of the kingdom. There has to be some economic growth. There has to be some reinforcement of organizations and of projects and of people that are doing things that can begin to build some kind of generational, not just wealth in terms of money, in terms of knowledge base, in terms of businesses, in terms of things that can kind of have an undergirded foundation. I'm going to try to bring Iris back here now. I think she popped in. I wish you there. All right, so hopefully we can hear you now. So yeah, guys, I mean, it's just been incredible just seeing out. Now, you guys also, if I'm not mistaken, George and Tracy, you guys had a big fundraiser. It would have been bigger, obviously, had not been COVID. But didn't you guys do something online to kind of get people involved so they can get more involved in HBCU Heroes?
Yes, the goal. So we were planning a big event for the Final Four because it was in Atlanta, and the mecca of HBCUs is Clark, Spelman, and Morehouse, and then Morris Brown. And we wanted, because the Final Four was hosting Division I and Division II, we wanted to showcase the great talent that came out of HBCUs, bring recognition to it, because it was, you know, like in the 60s, this is where we had an opportunity to go to school. And, you know, when the COVID hit, it changed our plans. We ended up, you know, the student athletes throughout the HBCUs was misplaced and had to learn on campus. And majority of the student athletes, I'm not going to say all students, but majority of the student athletes finished a lot of their work in the labs that the campus provided. And once they went home, they didn't have access. Once the universities closed, they didn't have access to those labs and those computers that they had access to while they were in school. And I had 9 of my 13 student athletes needed computers, and that was just for the basketball team. So Tracy and I sprung into action. We provided computers for those students. And then as I've reached out to other coaches in the conference, they were needing the same thing. They were, you know, entire basketball team, entire football teams. You know, 80% of the athletic departments at other schools needed computers. So we sprung into action. We put a telethon on for, was a 2-day telethon. And it was Tech for COVID. It was K through 12 for elementary schools through high school in the Atlanta area. And then it was HBCU student athletes within the HBCUs throughout the country.
Well, like I said again, it's just been it's great to see what you guys are doing, and I'm going to put it out there. And George, I'll talk with you and Tracy about this when we find photography, but I want to try to get a fund together because one of the things I saw, to be very candid, when I started covering sports, I covered Clark Atlanta, ironically football, as long as also with Georgia Tech and some other schools. But the thing that kind of struck me when I went over to the campuses was really kind of the disrepair that the athletic facilities were in. I mean, here in Atlanta, obviously you have a hotbed of sports here. Some of the biggest recruiting goes on here in the Atlanta area. Atlanta, as far as football is concerned, has now moved right behind South Florida and Southern California as far as being the highest rated area to get athletes. And I would go to Clark, and I got to tell you, I saw better facilities at high school. I mean, you go to Cobb County, you see some of these high schools like Hill House, or you go to Westlake, and you guys are playing with Jumbotron. I'm looking at Clark, and I went by the president's box. I had to be careful coming out because the cement was cracking. Like, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus or just pick on anyone, but I'm saying in general, even with the Morehouse, here you have a guy, a legendary runner in and Mr. Moses,
Edwin Moses, yes.
You have a stadium named after him, and I heard the last time I was here, the man was almost in tears because it used to be you had the Morehouse games there, and you can't even do it anymore. I mean, it was really incredible.
He's one of our HBCU heroes ambassadors,
of course. Of course, that would make sense.
Is because he wants to make sure that he wants to raise money for the track, and a lot like. People don't understand that what happens with HBCUs, number one, and you already know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but number one, the alumni don't give back as much, but probably it's because of economics. It's because we don't, when we're growing up philanthropic wise, we don't actually teach our kids to be philanthropic because most of the time, even at HBCUs now, 75% of the students who go to HBCUs are on Pell Grants and that sort of thing. So there's an economic base that, like, when you go to a white school and I'm sorry, PWIs, I think this is politically correct, they have billions of dollars in their endowments. And I think I read a statistic the other day that said HBCUs all together combined, it's just like, 1/10 or 1/100th of the rate of billions that the endowments are at PWIs. It's not even close. It's like millions combined as opposed to billions for for PWIs. It's just the layers are not there, so they can't give back. If your unemployment rate is high and if the students are on Pell Grants and that sort of thing, the money to give back is just not there, and they're not getting the TV contracts like George said. So we've got to step in as a society, as a culture, and make sure that wherever we can, we help. George and I created HBCU Heroes just to say that no matter where you went, we can all be HBCU heroes. I mean, we went to Carolina, but the need is so great that we've got to help these schools. But exactly what you said, the facilities, the scholarships, like even on George's team, I was surprised. Only, I believe, was it 7 of your students actually had scholarships for your last basketball team?
Yeah, and they weren't full scholarships, so I had to spread them out. So it's a challenge.
And that's typical, I think, at a lot of HBCUs. It's just the money and the funding is not there, and we just want to help because it's not really airing dirty laundry. Sometimes HBCUs don't want people to know what they're going through. But my mama always said a closed mouth don't get fed. And so, sometimes you got to open your mouth and let them know,
Well, that's certainly real talk. Let's go to social media here now. We've been buzzing along here as people have been trying to comment. So we're going to go here. Guys, a good friend of the show. He has his own show called 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio, right here on Facebook. Mr. W. Turner, he says, Mr. Lynch, great information. Ms. Pennywell, the same thing. And he wants to give a shout out. Of course, he always does to the 901, Penny Hardaway, and all the guys out there in Memphis. Here's what I think is really going to be important going forward. I think that we have to find a way to think outside the box. I mean, certainly you're right. We don't get the same amount of funding that you get with the larger schools, especially predominantly white schools. I mean, they have war chests that are just unbelievable. You look at this, especially you look at Ivy League schools like Harvard and so forth. I mean, the amount of money these guys have at their disposal is just insane. But all that being said, people ask me, they said, well, Minister, let me see if I can get this straight. He said, so, and now keep in mind, we understand this was a horrific tragedy that struck the entire world. So we want to put this in context. And we also want to put that the estimated number of people that gave to this GoFundMe was close to 500,000 people. Where people ask me the question, they say, how is it that we were able to raise $12.5 million in about 48 hours to handle the burial and the later life expenses for George Floyd, but yet we struggle to bring money to the table, for some of the things that need to get done on a larger generational scale. So I'm just wondering, how we can better utilize GoFundMe, how we can better utilize, and like you said, market together all of our resources, and maybe attack things project by project, one spot at a time.
If I can say this one last thing, I think it's awareness and visibility. When you look at George Floyd, I mean, I'm every single day so impressed by just the amount of people, white, black, all, Asian, everybody globally in Germany, they're protesting. And I think the thing is, it was a very, very, very tragic, like to watch that unfold. Every time I see it, I'm in tears. But the good news about it is, didn't we really, Trina, we really rallied around Black Americans, especially our Black American men. And it was a sight to be, it's still a sight to behold every single day, 50 states at one time protesting. But the word is awareness and visibility. And I think because if you look at social media and you look at what gets the attention and what doesn't, like a lot of HBCUs, they don't even have social media pages. So we've got to really rally around. I mean, I don't know how we fix some of those things, but what I'm saying is I believe it certainly is. It's the people who went there and even the people who didn't. It's the George Lynches of the world who take time out to say, listen, I'm on this cause. Takeo Spikes is one of our biggest champions. Anything we do.
That's my boy right there.
He's our boy too. Right up in there with us every time. Ask him what can we do. Bill Bellamy, HBCU ambassador for life. He's on our team. DL Hughley, like anytime that we do something. And by the way, we do have John Lewis Good Trouble. There's a documentary coming out with the congressman. It's coming out July 3rd. And we're actually doing the HBCU strategy for that movie, Georgia 9 HBCU Heroes. We're doing another streamathon July 5th because we're doing the Rock the Vote. This is a very important election year, and we got to make sure that we get everybody registered to vote, especially within the HBCU stratosphere. So all those guys are participating. We got Larry Ridley. We got, there's too many names to mention, but Atan Thomas, who's former NBA. We are 100% committed to this HBCU cause. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, it's visibility. I think to answer your question, Minister, it's visibility and it's awareness. And we've just got to do better with that as a culture.
Well, there's no question that we're going to do what we can here from the media aspect to kind of bring that out and really try to see if we can lend a hand to try to not only get the visibility up, but have some strategies that we can do to attack the situation head on. But speaking of strategies, we're going to bring in another guest for our show. She is attacking the whole concept. Well, actually, got two things going on. One of them is dealing with our finances. One of the things we talked about earlier is how important money is. So her group, her company is getting involved in trying to help people restore their credit and so forth. Because here's the thing that I found out: if your credits, you ain't got no credits, you got trouble.
Yes.
Because if you don't have credit, what you'll find is that you don't, because when you have credit, you're actually able to leverage the finances you do have. Without having good credit, you really kind of put you in a position where you can't leverage that at all. The other thing too is this young lady also does being in ministry like myself. She also has a wonderful ministry, and actually was a show that she's going to be launching sometime in the future called Touchdown Marriages, where she really dealt with what a lot of athletes go through in terms of their home life and trying to mend that and get some real candid discussion about that. So we're going to bring on right now Minister Terry Brown. Can you hear us?
I can. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hello.
Thank you so much,
Well,
Minister,
before
having us on.
we let you get started here, you know how it is. Social media always has lots of comments. So as soon as you guys start talking about the HBCUs from Periscope, which is also Twitter TV, let's pop this up here and get the comments. So we can get it on the screen here. We hope we can here. Let's hit our magic button. And there we are from Periscope. This is One Reed Devo is giving a big shout out to FAMU. The Rattler Nation is now in the building. FAMU. And I was shocked at how big of a presence they have here in Atlanta. They have a huge
there. Oh, yeah.
Yep, huge contingent
Mayor
here in Atlanta.
Keisha Lance Bottoms, right. She went there. Terrell Whitley. There's a lot of big names here. Rashawn Ali, who's one of our HBCU Heroes ambassadors, she went there. A lot of them. Jay Carter.
I performed there many years ago.
So you know.
Oh, I didn't go there, but I performed there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the fact, again, like I said, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to bring you on the show today is because, I think that what happens is that we kind of lose historical, we lose the ability to look at history. Like we sometimes, when things happen, we think they're happening in a vacuum, and we think that there was really no predecessors or what happened before didn't have meaning and value. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, Trina, because I mean, you were literally, at the time, I know you didn't think about being a history maker, but you were actually in real time a history maker. I mean, coming on to, you saw his reaction when we talked about he was a Bond girl. Oh yeah, because James, every man secretly said, "I want to be 007." I mean, if we're just being real. And so the fact that you were not only a Bond woman, but a villain that took on Sean Connery, we have to come on. And then when you talk about the legends that you dealt with in dance, with Alvin Ailey, and then certainly your instructor as well. I mean, that's why it was so important for me to let people see you as well. Going back to social media here, big shout outs here again from Periscope, which is Twitter TV. One of our great fans for the show, Miss Cammie, coming out of South Carolina. Greets everybody. Well, she's greeting me right now. Hola. And but she's got lots of hugs and kisses for everybody else on the panel as well. And she says a big hi and shout out to you all the way again from South Carolina. Well, we're going to go to Coach Terry Brown here. Terry, give us a quick synopsis of why it's important and what got you started in the whole concept of trying to, get people's financial house in order, so to speak.
Well, thank you again for having us on. My name is Coach Terry Brown. I am the CEO and founder of Credit Conversations here in Georgia.
Oh, I can't hear her.
Okay, she can't hear me.
Yeah, you're cutting off.
Okay, I'm not sure. Is it our connection?
All right. Well, I can hear you pretty good. Let's see, Trey,
I'm hearing the scratching again.
All right. All right, let me ask you a question. By any chance, is anybody else, and I'll ask you this first, Trina, you just have your phone on, you're not trying to watch the broadcast on a second phone or on any other program, you're just on your phone, correct, right now? Trina, did you hear that? Yeah, I'm actually.
Yes, I'm just on my phone. Yes.
On your phone. Okay. Is anybody else watching the broadcast or doing anything on a second item? Because that's normally what happens. We get some echo that way.
I'm still hearing a lot of scratching, so I can't hear Terry Brown.
Well, she's not talking now, so you're okay. All right. Here's what you guys. We're gonna take a quick little break here, and I'm gonna try to see if we can reboot the system. Not sure why we're getting so much static and noise. I can hear it. Not sure whose mic it is. We tried to kind of troubleshoot it before, and we're having a little problem. But that's okay, because when we're live, anything can happen. So we're going to take a quick little break and reboot, and we'll come back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. You're watching Ladies Night and listening to Ladies Night on all portals. We're on WIGO 1570. We're on Facebook Live on the Real Talk Sports Show. We're on @Real Talk Sports 7 on Twitter TV and on Periscope, and we're on Real Talk Sports TV on YouTube. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. Hang tight. All right. Well, hopefully and prayerfully, we have debugged the situation. Sometimes when I play the music, the sheriff goes away. But unfortunately, I still hear snap, crackle, pop. So I'm not sure who it is or what the situation is. So we're going to have to kind of deal with it. And then we'll have to bring you ladies back at another time. Well, it does appear that, hello? Is everyone there?
Yes.
I'm here.
Well,
George.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
George, I think Tracy was the culprit. We have no more static. Amen. All right. Well, let's get Coach Terry Brown, Minister Terry Brown on here. I didn't want to throw Tracy on the bus, but clearly she was the problem. Not her fault, but she didn't know. So hopefully she can reboot and get it straight. Hey, Terry, tell us kind of what brought you. All right. Somebody yes, we got some doorbells going on in the background. You know, that's what I tell people about Zoom. See, when you got a Zoom type broadcast, whatever you got in the background, you know, if you got your honey trying to holler at you, cooking some dinner, or if you got the kids coming in, we hear all of that. So if that's the case, please mute your mic. Please, we thank you so much. Let's go to Mr. Terry Brown. So again, she can give us a sensibility of what got her involved in wanting to repair people's credit and the importance of having good credit to leverage your financial situation.
Hello again. I am Coach Terry Brown. I am the founder
I can hear you.
of Credit Conversations, and this is my co-host, publisher Paula P. Hey. What got me into credit restoration and credit repair was my own credit, if I can just be honest. I was in prayer one day, and me and my pastor in prayer, and the Lord spoke to me through her and said, get your credit, get your finances together. I'm getting ready to do something. But one of the things God began to deal with me about is he said, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, but the just ain't ready.
Wow, see, that's right there.
They're not ready. One of the things he really started impressing upon me is the power of credit. We've got to have our finances in order, even in the midst of everything that's going on. When all this dust settles, if we are not in a position to leverage ourselves with buying power, we've got buying power to get some of the things that we need to rebuild, to get some of the things we need to build, to get some of the things we need. Now listen to this. Target and God rest George Floyd's soul, and I thank God for what's happening with the resurrection of the Black voices. Like you said, I have a program that I did called Touchdown Marriages. It was a place, and it is a place where a man has the voice, and so I have been. God has been allowing me to leverage the voice of men for a long time. But one of the things that we fall short in is our buying power. One of the things that we fall short in is our ability to build, our ability to leverage with finances. Okay, so you got things that tore down. They have the ability to rebuild based off of credit alone. Just based off of credit alone. If I don't have cash and I have credit, I can go get things. But there are times where I can have cash and don't have credit and can't get anything. And so one of the things that I'm finding is the power of credit and having our finances together. Another thing that I'm finding is a lot of people weren't taught this growing up in their homes. There are a lot of people that were taught financial literacy and the importance of it. If you did not go to college, or I'm not even going to say that, it's just a lot of people in their homes weren't taught the basic finances. One of the things that we do here at Credit Conversations is not only do we work with your credit, we help you get a will and trust, which is extremely important. We help you with identity monitoring your credit, the importance of that. What are some of the other things that we have in our program? Budgeting, we have that in our program. We have identity monitoring, credit monitoring, and we literally walk people from a challenging credit situation to A1 credit. I'm going through it. I have seen a tremendous leap in my credit over the last couple of months. There is a score that I want to get so that I can help do some things that God has put on my heart, not just for me, but for my children and my children's children. I have a son who's 25 years old, and his credit is not where it should be. One of the things I said to him is he's getting ready to go off into his destiny. And I made it my business to make sure when he leaves that his credit is good. Because our counterparts, when they leave home, their credits are good. That's why they can go to school and have credit cards and have cars and different things, because their credit is good. And so that's the heartbeat of God for me right now, is to help our people, and in particular our young people. They've got to understand the importance of having good credit, which also points to the fact of integrity. It points to the fact of character. It points to the fact of knowing and understanding. You know, a lot of them don't know and don't understand. We don't understand the importance of credit utilization. We get this little Macy's card and we spend more than we should. We max it out. And we don't understand that by maxing your cards out, keep your credit score lower. You know, we don't understand that paying your bills past the due date or whenever you want has a tremendous impact on your credit score. So these are the things that we're working with, and we're seeing a tremendous difference. And so that happens here. I'm sorry, go ahead. Someone was saying something.
Yeah, so I flashed up on screen. So Cammie, one of our great followers from off of Periscope and Twitter TV, she had popped up during the screen that she agreed with you wholeheartedly. She also talked about the fact that, again, that people are not taught financing at home. People don't sit down with their kids and talk about stocks and things like that. I didn't buy my first stock till I think I was like 34, 35 years old, because that wasn't something. First of all, ain't nobody had no money for those stocks. At the end of the day, at the house. But you weren't even taught that, because a lot of people don't know you can buy stocks for a very small amount of money. Well, I'm going to try to see if we can bring the culprit back on. Tracy, we thought that it might be your mic that was creating a problem. So we're going to bring it back on, and hopefully the snap, packle, and pop is gone. Tracy Pettigrew, are you here?
Is it me?
So far.
Okay. Praise the Lord. Snap. Amen. Well, listen, we're going to switch to get into football and social stuff. For those who are listening on WIGO, we appreciate you. We got about 8 or 9 minutes left in the radio broadcast. And then, of course, we have the after show. Iris, I'm going to go to you. Everything's been buzzing in the world of sports in terms of everyone trying to make a comment, kind of be on the right side of the issue. What have you kind of seen from Bulldog Nation? Well, something happened. I'm not sure. Let's at least let's get that question answered.
So,
Iris, if you can,
you wanted to ask me
about kind of the response that you've seen from the Bulldogs to all of the social upheaval that we've seen.
Oh, yes. I thought you said, oh, yeah. I mean, actually, I was on the show last week. I kind of misunderstood your question. I thought you were just referring to just the Atlanta sports teams, but Georgia was on it quickly. Kirby Smart and all of the assistant coaches, they came out with a statement a few days after the tragedy. Kirby even mentioned that his heart went out to all of his African-American players, and he said he comes from, of course, because he's a Caucasian, so he said he comes from a different world, but he said, I want you guys to teach me exactly what it is I need to know, so I'll be more aware of what's going on. Also, too, I did notice last Tuesday that he also participated in the blackout. Some of the other coaches, some of the other assistant coaches, they've actually gone and made some videos with the players, showing their unity, showing how they feel about the injustice, how we as a country need to just really right these wrongs that we're living in right now. So I've been really pleased with that. The other thing making the headlines is the former quarterback that we did have a very candid discussion about that in the Dog Nation, the Ultimate Dog Nation. There were, some varied ideas about from. I can share what I felt about it, but the consensus was that it was the initial thought was just shock and awe, because this was a guy that we held to a high standard. We thought that he was just be like the epitome of how he should be as an athlete, very professional.
All right, so I'm gonna do this. I hate to cut you off. I hate to cut you off. I'm not sure what's happening. I think the gremlin went from Tracy's mic to your mic, because now like you're going in and out. We're having like all kinds of problems hearing you. So we're gonna take you out of the program for a second and have you call back and see if that can kind of reboot you and get you squared away. So call us back. Log back in again and see if we can get you squared back in again. Well, ladies, what she was talking about there, the University of Georgia, there was some controversy. Georgia had come out, one of the early schools that had been, kind of part of making bold statements about backing their players, backing Black Lives Matters. And then, unfortunately, their star quarterback, Jake Fromm, made some comments about being an elite white. And so this kind of, immediately brought the echoes of a bad feeling, especially since Georgia had a black quarterback who many people felt was better than Jake Fromm, who for some reason couldn't get time on the playing field, went to Ohio State, and of course got Ohio State into the college football playoffs, where Georgia unfortunately had watched at home. Well, I'm gonna go here to social media so you guys can get some feedback from social media. We got from Periscope and Twitter TV. We have Jay Baco1. He says he's loving the vibe of the show, and you can see he's a white brother that's enjoying kind of the conversation. Vincent W. Turner jumping on from Facebook, talking a little bit about, again, Jake Fromm's comments, what we all think about it. And of course, he mentioned that Justin Fields, who was an African-American quarterback from right here in Cobb County, one of the highest rated recruits in the nation, mysteriously could find no time at Georgia, but was able to, go out to Ohio State and do quite well there. So, again, it's the thing that is tough for me is that, we normally do a sports show and it's a lot of fun, and we talk about stats and we talk about, the players and the coaches, and sometimes we get into, who said what about who in the beef. But this is really a tough time, but it's a good time. We're going to have to continue to work our way through it, because these are conversations that we all have to have. We have to have them, I think, both as black and white people. White people need to have it with other white people. And black people need to have conversation with other black people, because there are some things that we all have to do as separate cultures, but then together as one nation in order for this thing to really, pan itself out. So, again, we just appreciate you ladies coming on and doing this. I know we only have about 4 or 5 minutes left on WIGO, but you guys on social media know we do a show after the show. So you guys stand with us here. We want to give big shout outs to everybody at WIGO, especially our in-house producer. This guy is kind of doing something extra for the station because we're so small. The guy that produces our show, his name is Eli Smith, Minister Eli Smith, and he is a legend here in the Atlanta area. He was on WYZ, the gospel station here, for many, many years. He used to do a program, and he would always sign off with 6 a.m. in the morning because he came on an early show. He's now on WIGO. He's on every morning from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, except for Wednesdays. And so if you guys get a chance, you want to hear some good gospel music, everything from new school to old school, and here's some great inspiration, check them out on WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio, or check them out online at WIGOAM.com. And again, to all listeners at WIGO, as we sign off, we say we appreciate you. We say God bless you. Continue to tune into WIGO, support us. We are, in fact, I'm going to put it out there, we are a black-owned station. We're not owned by CBS like WOK is. Like, excuse me, now. So y'all don't know WLK, but I know, don't be wrong. They have obviously a lot of programs that are very important in the African-American community, as well as, V103, but they not owned by people of color like us. So I'm just saying, if you want to support, spend your ad dollars with us. They get recirculated back in the community. We're located right in Clayton County, literally right down the street from Morrow High School, which a lot of people don't know is the last Clayton County high school to win a state championship. And also Clayton County is the home of some great stalwarts like Hines Ward, who one of our athletic fields is now named after Hines Ward. It's now called the Tara. I think it's called Hines Ward Field at Tara Stadium. So again, guys, some good stuff are going on in the community. It's not all bad, and that's what we try to do on the show, bring it out here. Well, ladies, before we go into the show, after the show, I'm going to go around the circle, and I want you to tell people how they can find out more about you, if you have websites, if you have social media. So first, to the very first bomb lady, Trina Parks, tell us how people can follow you and find out more about you.
Well, they can go to my website, iamtrinaparks.com. And also, you want me to give my email or that?
Well, if you want people to contact you with potential offers to work, because I know you are a working actress still, is that correct?
Yes, I am. It's T-E as in Edward, A-B as in boy, E-Y at yahoo.com. So that's T-E-A-B-E-Y at yahoo.com. And I just want to say that I've been teaching about our Black history through dance and theater since 1970. And I specifically am a master dance instructor of the Catherine Dunham technique. And when I teach about her, which I just taught at Spelman a couple of months ago before we had the distancing problem, I always give a lecture about her and her history before I actually teach the dance class. And I've taught at FAMU, and I've taught many schools. But I'm constantly teaching about to especially Black children, but also the young people about our history, especially in dance. So they will know where all of what they're doing now comes from. So I just don't teach a dance class. It's always a history and lecture and about our history first, and then we go into what the dance is about.
Well, I appreciate you. And the other reason why we wanted to bring you on Ladies Night, and all of you ladies are all very beautiful in your own right. And I'm still trying to, us fellas are still trying to find the elixir. We don't know where y'all are hiding it, but we know that Black don't crack. So I'm seeing all ages of all these beautiful Black women here. And I'm saying, y'all look, somebody, I think, was it Terry said something, she had a 25-year-old. I think Iris got some grown kids. I'm like, huh? So I don't know what y'all dipping in at night.
And I got I'm a great grandmother of a 3-year-old.
Okay, I'm off. Okay, good night. I'm through. I'm through.
My grandson is 28. 29.
I like to say again, I mean, just we're so appreciative. And again, it's important as we go forward, obviously for all people, but especially for women, because, I got a grown daughter. I ain't telling you how old she is, but she's grown.
You can't be them.
My daughter she explained to me that, in fact, how old I was, because she said, well, Dad, that this birthday I'll be 41. So she said, you know how old you be. I kind of,
I want to be older than you in a minute, right, Minister? She's gonna be older than you in a minute.
Right. I'm trying to just keep it laying low here. You know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, again, it's a pleasure for you guys to come out, because we do have, a lot of listeners, and we do have a lot of female listeners. So the fact that you guys can encourage them, you guys are all very elegant, very articulate, very vivacious. Even Sister Parks says, the lady has been in the business for 50 or 60 years. Now, you talk about someone that has survived all of that stuff that we read about, Me Too, all that stuff. She was right in the middle of that. But yet she still got that shine. Yeah. So we thank God for you, and we thank God you took time. There we go. Listen, when I interviewed her, I realized that I had Diva on my hands. I mean, because she threw the hair back and she just leaned back. And I was like, oh, the minister got his hands full. Amen. So again, we appreciate you. And so again, we appreciate
I wanted to ask you, do you know John Carlos lives here?
Yeah, and actually, that's an interview that I had, not with John Carlos, but actually I had a chance to interview Tommy Smith, his running partner, and that's the guy that you see standing up on the top of the podium. So we hope that we can bring Tommy back was his birthday very recently, so hopefully we can bring him back on the show so you guys can see him and meet him. Let's go down here to Coach Terry Brown and Ms. Paula to let you know about how you can find out more about them.
Okay, so I'm Coach Terry Brown. You can reach me at creditconversations20@gmail.com, or you can partner with me on Facebook at Credit Conversations. We are in the mix of getting our website up, so we'll have that together. But again, you can reach me at creditconversations20@gmail.com, or you can reach me Terry Brown on Facebook or Credit Conversations on Facebook. And let's get from Paula really quick, if that's okay, Jonathan. How can the people reach you, publisher?
They can actually reach me on Facebook. I'm Paula Foster on Facebook, or they can email me at speaklifepublications.com. Again, that's info@speaklifepublications.com.
Amen. All right, let's go to Ms. Tracy from HBC Heroes.
Thank you, Minister. So for me, George Lynch and I both can be reached. Our website is www.hbcuheroes.org. That's hbcuheroes.org. And on all social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're at HBCU Heroes. And then if everyone would, on July 5th from 6 to 10 p.m., Sunday, July 5th, if they'll tune in, we're doing our John Lewis Good Trouble documentary premiere-a-thon, and that's going to be from 6 to 10 p.m. on Twitch, Facebook Live, Insta Live, all of those platforms. Mixer on July 5th, 6 to 10 p.m. John Lewis Good Trouble. Congressman Lewis, by the way, I just have to say, when he went out to the streets, he hit those streets 50 years later. That is iconic. That is why he's a legend. That is why we owe all just praises to him, because he did not let cancer stop him. Do you know how much you have to be moved to get out here when you have pancreatic cancer and say, I will not be stopped and you all should not either? That was just, my heart was so full to see that picture with Mayor Bowser. I mean, it was just full. So I just wanted to say that, like, man, 50 years later and he's still fighting the same things. That says a lot about where we've come.
Yes.
Right, Trina? And Trina, George is, he probably left this call to go home and pick out those old DVDs and watch you on James Bond. I know he did.
You already know.
He will not be available until further notice.
Let's see if we can bring Ms. Iris back on here. Iris, are you there? Let's see if we got a good mic here, or you can. Are you there? All right. So we can tell how to find out more about. Tell people more about Ultimate Dog Nation, because you crack them again for people.
Yeah. Well, I'm the dog lady. You can find me at the Ultimate Dog Nation. I wanted to add something before we get to the, where you can find me. I was going to say too, I think you said that Jake Fromm was still at Georgia. He's not at Georgia anymore.
No.
He's gone.
We just say he's from. He played at Georgia. Yeah, we know he's gone.
No, he's not at the University of Georgia anymore. No.
Yeah, Miss she said he's gone.
So we don't have to deal with that anymore.
So he now is officially Jake and State Farm. But at the end of the day, I say again, I mean, these things, I said now he's officially with State Farm. He's no longer with Georgia. He's Jake and State Farm. Listen, at the end of the day, it's like this.
We're all happy to see him gone. So, I mean, regardless of, the entire Dog Nation, we're happy to see him gone with those comments. And anyway, you can find me at the Ultimate Dog Nation.
And that's on Facebook, right?
Yeah, that's on Facebook. And if you're looking for me personally, you're going to have to put a Fambro in the middle of that. So it'll be Iris Fambro Carter. If you just want to find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Iris Fambro, F and Frank, MDRO Carter.
Hey, you do some good inspirational stuff on all the broadcasts. Again, we appreciate you. Appreciate all you ladies for joining. Appreciate you, George. I appreciate you, bro. And we are going to be making a shift. One of the things I realize is that there's a lot to be talked about, and with sports getting ready to shift back into full gear. We have to be mindful. We are, in fact, a sports show. So I will be announcing, and you guys, I'll let you guys know what's going on, a new show that we're going to do that's going to be basically kind of, the other me, involving not so much ministry, because I have a Bible study show, but really dealing with politics and a real full-blown talk show, relationships, all those things that, that we want to talk about, but sometimes don't talk about. We're going to do it the same way, kind of in the living room. We want people to be comfortable and really hash out these issues, because I know Coach Brown talked about it with the marriages and just relationships in general. There's so much going on here that needs to be talked about, and we need to talk about it on a platform that, doesn't have to be tied to sports. So, keep on the lookout. We're going to announce it, guys. It's going to be about insight and inspiration, trying to give you some information, number one, that will help you to go forward and to change your situation. So that's what we're looking to do, and bringing all kind of guests on to talk about your money, talk about, like I said, your relationships, obviously from a biblical background, but really kind of delve in to some of these things that kind of disrupt us as a society, because, for stuff to be fixed, it got to be fixed from the inside out. We can't legislate.
Yes.
You just can't. I mean, all these laws, because if it was legislation, then we wouldn't have a problem, because we got laws on the book. We got police laws on the books. We got hate crime laws on the books. We got all that stuff on the books. So this idea that we need more laws is kind of disingenuous. What we need is people's hearts to be changed. Okay, we have to have a change of mindset.
Absolutely.
Right. We have to hold people accountable and say, look, man, at the end of the day,
yes,
we can't keep living like this.
Can I say something, Jonathan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because I know, I represent the Dog Nation, but I told you last night, Jonathan, and I'm also getting a PhD in psychology, so I do a lot of studying. And one of the things that has always bothered me was the fact that people, once they've served felons, ex-cons, for a very long time, even though they had served their time, they were back in society, they didn't have the right to vote. And that's a way to and so you look at things in a larger picture, not necessarily just looking at the actual person, but look at the whole thing, say, okay, is it a way to kind of control the Black vote? If you just levy some charges on them, have them convicted, so then when they get out of jail, they still can't get a job, they can't vote. So I did go and exercise my right, like I always do. I did vote today, and I did notice in Georgia, and I'm not sure for other states, but there was part of a bill on there for us to give ex-convicts the right to vote, and I think is necessary. And you probably see a lot of changes with the way.
I need you to save that. I need you to save that for the other show, because this is where we're going to. You got don't put it all out here now. You got to save that for the other show. We're going to bring you on to talk about these things. And I also want to talk about what I experienced at the polls today, because there was some okie doke going on at the polls today when I got there. I was like, what? In terms of people being sent to places where the polls, not only were they not open, but they weren't even a polling location. And if you put, for example, like me, because I consider myself nonpartisan, a lot of the questions on the ballot weren't on my ballot. Like I was like, "What's the rest of the ballot?" They're like, "Oh, you finished, bro. Get me out of there." I was like, "For real?" Yeah, there was no, like, the sheriff stuff, the question you guys talked about. As soon as you put nonpartisan, that you're not Democrat or Republican, they like, "Well, you're not getting all the real stuff." But that's for another show. We're going to talk about that later on this week.
Yeah.
Can I say
again?
Can I say something?
Yeah, let me pop you back on here so everybody can see you. Go ahead.
And this is part of what I endeavor to do. Because when they come out of prison, the whole prison they're now credit report. They're looking at your credit report to get to base whether you're going to get a job or not. So what happens to that?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, so you're breaking up just
you're
a
breaking
little bit.
up. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so like you said, we're gonna table this for the night because we kind of finished the after show. It only goes about 9:15, but
Okay.
we are going to, like I said, launch this other show this week. So I'll let you guys know, and we're gonna do it in a little different format, so we can bring more people in. We want to get some experts to talk about this because certainly these are topics that are very, very important, and they need
Yeah.
to be addressed. They need to be discussed. And
Absolutely.
I know other people doing it, but the more the merrier. So, again, we want to make sure that we do everything that we can to let voices come out. And again, we want to bring people who know a whole lot more about what's going on than me and let them tell us all the good stuff and what we can do to attack the problem. All right, guys, before I go, I put the minister hat on. Now, remember I told you before, it's about a heart thing. You can't legislate good behavior. So, I'm going to ask you, do you, ma'am or sir, know the one and only Jesus Christ? You say, no, you don't. And you say, why should you? I'll tell you why. Because nobody loves you like Jesus, not your mom, not your grandmom, not your auntie and them. Nobody loves you like him. Why? But two reasons. Number one, he made you. And number two, he died for you. That's right. So that you can believe in him and do two things. Live a life well lived here on the earth. And then when you leave here, you can go to that place called heaven. Now, you need to look in Revelation about the description of this place. I mean, ladies, you like this. Streets that are paved with gold that's so pure it's translucent. Every single gate on the city made of one gigantic pearl, and not just any kind of pearl, just like the ultimate pearl with no spot, no blemish. And everybody happy, nobody killing, nobody getting mad at nobody. A happy place. And so I don't know about you, I'd rather go to a happy place than that other place. You know what I'm talking about. All right, guys, listen, until the next time we join you, ladies, we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. Tracy, Iris, Coach Brown, Paula, Trina Parks, everybody. Again, follow everyone on social media. Y'all stay safe and stay blessed, and look forward to the new show, Insights and Inspiration, coming up really, really soon later on this week. All right, guys, again, God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. So long.